I'm going to show you some basic navigation of Blackboard Learn. First, how to find Blackboard and log in, find your courses, and exploring some other navigation like edit mode and how to find your course content. The most direct way to log into Blackboard is to go to concordia.blackboard.com. You don't have to type in the HTTPS or anything like that. Just type concordia.blackboard.com, and then you'll see this screen. You can click on the Blackboard single sign-in, and that's going to also log you into the portal. Or if you just want to log into Blackboard, you can click the alternate login. Then you'll enter your username and password, the same username and password that you use to get into the portal. There are two other ways you can also find Blackboard. Another is through the portal. So if you log into the portal, mycuw.edu or mycuaa.edu, then go to the Faculty tab, and then you'll see on the left here a Concordia Learn, a Blackboard channel that you can click, and you'll get the sign-on there as well. You'll also notice while we're here on the portal, on the Faculty tab, there's a Blackboard Learn channel for faculty with the URL and training opportunities as they become available, and also some links to help you find different tutorials related to Blackboard. Some are specifically for AL faculty, and some are for MBA faculty, and some are for instructors who have to completely design their course, their face-to-face courses, unlike AL courses. The third way you can access Blackboard Learn is through the public CUW website or CUAA website, www.cuw.edu or cuaa.edu. And if you click on the links, then you'll see a link to Blackboard, and that's the third way that you can access Blackboard. Once you log in, you will be taken to the My Institution page, and you'll see a list of your courses. Now, when you first log into Blackboard Learn, the list of your courses, this square here is called a module, and this one is called the My Courses module, and yours might be over here on the left. And as you can see, you can just click on the top of the module and then drag it to your desired location. You'll also notice that my courses are grouped by term, and when you first log into Blackboard, they are listed either alphabetically or numerically. So if you would like to group your courses by term, you'll hover your mouse over the top of the module till you see this square made of arrows. Then you'll click on the little gear that appears on the right-hand side. Then you'll see this screen, and near the top on the left, there's an area that says Group by Term with a checkbox, and for you, it's probably unchecked. Check that box and click Submit. Then you'll see that your courses have been grouped by term, and then you can locate your course for the particular term. Once you've clicked on your course, then you'll be taken to the course homepage, and you'll see these squares or these modules as well, with different items that you can explore. You can click on the title of each module, and you can drag it and change the position as you like. Keep in mind that the students will not have the ability to move these modules, so however you arrange them, that is how the students will see them also. A couple of important items are at the upper right corner of the screen, and the first is edit mode. As you are adding or changing content or grading for your course, you will want to make sure that the edit mode is on. Occasionally, there is nothing that you have done, but that edit mode will be set as off. You'll try to upload a file or your instructor contact information, and you won't find the buttons that you need to do it, and that's because for some reason the edit mode was switched to off. So if you can't find a button that you're looking for or a file that you're looking for, check that your edit mode is set to on, and it's just a click. You click it and it's on, or you click it and it's off. And right above that, a little bit to the right of that, is that circle with the line, and that is the button to log out once you're done with Blackboard. It is a good practice to log out of Blackboard once you are through. So this again is the home page for the course. And to find your course content, you'll click here on the left, this content link. If you've ever used Angel, at the top of that screen, there were different tabs, and one of them was the Lessons tab, and that's where you found all the content for the course. Well, in Blackboard, it is called Content, and it's the link on the left side. So think of this Content link as your Lessons tab. And then you'll click on Content. And then you'll see the information for your course, the module and the various folders for the course. Here I'm going to show you the student preview mode. It's a nice way to get a view of what the students see. For example, if you look in this content area for this course, the top item listed is not available to students. So for a student preview mode of this content area, near the top of the screen on the right are the two arrows and the dot. It kind of looks like an eye. Click on that, and you'll see the golden rod stripe at the top that you're entering the student preview mode. Then you'll see again at the top that the student preview mode is on. You'll be taken to the home page of the course, and then you can look around in the course from the student's view. For example, I'm going to go into the content area of this course, and there was a file at the top that was hidden from students, and here you can see in the student preview mode, the student cannot see that particular file. So when you're done checking the student preview mode, then you can click on the top right box, Exit Preview. If you've added any data, such as practicing uploading an assignment to a Dropbox, we recommend that you do delete that data that was entered. And to do that, you'll just leave this first choice clicked, and then you'll click Continue. And then you'll see that you're exiting the student preview, and you'll be taken to the home page of the course from the instructor view, and you can continue preparing your course as needed. I'm going to show you how you can set your notifications options. Very commonly, faculty like to receive certain notifications via email, and this will show you how you can do that. Once you've logged into Blackboard, on the top right corner, you'll see your name. Hover the mouse up by your name and click, and then click on Settings. Then click on Edit Notifications Settings. Here you'll see a list of your courses on the left, and you can go into each course and edit them and decide which notifications you'd like to get via email. You can also, on the right, do a bulk edit notification and do those settings for several or all of your courses. And to do that, you'll click on Courses I Am Teaching. At the top of the screen, you'll see that the All box is checked, meaning for all of your courses, the notifications that you set here will affect all the courses that you teach. If you wanted to change one or several of your courses, but not all of them, you would click on the left box and hold down the Control key of your keyboard and click on the different courses that you want to change the notification settings. Then you would click the arrow and move those courses to the box on the right. And then you can change the notification settings that I will show you in just a moment. In this case, though, I am going to click here and click All. So all the changes that I make will affect all of the courses that I'm teaching. If you scroll down on the screen, you'll see the second half includes all the settings that are available to you. There are 3 areas that you can edit and receive notifications. The first is your notifications dashboard, and that is within Blackboard, and you can access that from clicking on the My Institution link at the top of your screen when you log into Blackboard. The second option is the second column is to receive notifications in your email, and that it would be your CUW or CUAA email. I won't go over all of these settings, but I wanted to show you a few of them. For instance, if you clicked that an assignment needs grading, and that is the fourth option down, and then if you wanted to receive that notification by email, you would just click the box in the center column. And the same would be true for any of these options. Further down, there's an option for test needs grading. So if you had an online test and you wanted that email notification when it's ready to be graded, then you could click that box. The third column on this screen is for the mobile app that is available to CUW and CUAA faculty and staff and students. There are directions for downloading the app on the portal, on either the faculty tab or the student tab. And it is free to CUW and CUAA students, faculty, and staff. So if you wanted to receive some of those notifications through the mobile app, then you would just check the various options that are available and click on those options in the third column. So once you have all the notifications that you want set, then you'll click Submit. You will get this message telling you that you're changing your settings from the default. Just click OK, and then click Submit again. Nope, maybe not. I guess I just had to click OK. I didn't have to click Submit again. And then you'll see a small triangle with an exclamation point, and that just means that your notification settings have been modified from the default. It's not an indication that anything is wrong. And that's how you set the notifications. Here I'm going to show you how to upload a file. For example, you may want to upload a file that has your introductory information and your contact information. Once you've logged into Blackboard, then you'll be taken to the home page of the course. Click on Content. Then you'll hover your mouse over Build Content. Then click on File. Then you'll name your file, and then you'll click Browse My Computer to find your file. Then click Submit. You'll see that the file that you've just uploaded has been added to the bottom of this content pane. If you want to move it, for instance, to the top of the content pane, then hover your mouse to the left side of the file, and you'll see a square made of arrows appear. Click with your mouse and then drag to the top of the screen, and you may have to scroll a couple of times to make more room to move it to the top. So click, drag, and then scroll. And then you can move it to the top if that's your desired position. Now I'm going to show you how you can create a folder. For example, all EAL courses at the bottom of the content pane have a folder that is called Instructor Resources. It is a folder that is not visible to students, and it's where you can keep files and resources that you use when you teach your course. And later, if you teach this course again, then you can move this file and copy it over to the next term that you teach this course. In this folder, I'm going to click into the Instructor Resources folder. So once you click into the folder, you'll see that there is a blank content area for you to either upload files or to create a folder, and you could put files within that folder. If you wanted to create a folder, you'll hover your mouse over Build Content, then click on Content Folder. Then you'll name your folder. And then you could type a description if you wanted to. I'll just put some text there so you can see what that looks like. The standard option for a folder is that students can view this content. However, since in this particular case I'm creating this folder and the main folder is hidden from students, they will not be able to view this folder either. So you can leave the standard option as is if you like. And then when you're done, click Submit. And then you'll see in the Instructor Resources folder that you've created a subfolder called PowerPoint Presentations. Then you could click into that folder and upload whichever files you choose. Next, I'm going to show you how to access the discussion boards, how to view them. You can subscribe to them so you get a notification in your email, how to read and respond to them. In your course, there are two ways that you can access the discussion forums. The first is through the content area. So click on Content, and then you can click on the session that you want to view or read the discussion forum. I'll click on Session 1 here. And then you'll see, in this case, the two different forums that are attached to Session 1. And then you can click on the name, the title of the discussion forum. And then you can read and respond to the forum. A second way that you and the students can access the discussion forums is beneath the content link to click on the discussions link. And here you'll see all of the discussion forums for the entire course. And this allows you to easily skim and see where there are different posts made, the total posts for each forum, how many are unread by you, and how many participants have created and responded to the threads. And to access the particular forum, again, you'll click on the title. Once I've clicked in the title, there are a couple of ways that I can view some or all of the posts. Each of these lines is a thread, and I could click on each thread and then view the responses to each of those threads. I could also, on the left-hand side, click the top left box, and that's going to check all of the threads in the forum. And then I'm going to click this middle box called Collect. And then I can read all of the posts that are in this forum. And as I am reading, I could click to reply. Type my reply and click Submit. And I can continue reading and replying for the entire forum. If I get to the bottom, I can click on this OK button on the bottom right corner of my screen, and that's going to take me right back to the forum with all of the threads listed. So that's how I can view the threads and respond. I can also subscribe to the forum, and this is separate from setting any notification options from the top right corner where your name is, top right corner of the screen. For discussion forums, if you want to receive a message in your email, in your Concordia email, that responses are being made in the forum, you and the students would click the subscribe button. Once that's clicked, you'll begin receiving email notifications that when activity occurs in the forum. When you are done, either when you're done grading, then you can click unsubscribe. And if you don't, once the students stop posting, then you won't get any alerts anyway. So it's completely up to you if you want to unsubscribe. So that's how you can access the discussion boards, view the responses, subscribe, and read and respond to the posts. Next, I'm going to show you how you can grade discussion forums. There's two ways you can access the forum in which to grade it. The first, and this is an update that was just done in fall of 2015, is to access the discussion posts for grading through the Grade Center. And to do that, you'll click on Grade Center, then you'll click on Needs Grading. And then you'll see everything that needs grading in the course, whether it be an assignment or a paper that was submitted through a Dropbox, a presentation, or a discussion post. You will receive, it will appear in the Needs Grading area after every post for each student. So you can see this top line, it's the 1.1 online discussion, and it is broken down by user or student. So I can click on the user, and then it shows that post, and then I can go in and actually for that entire thread, it's going to show the post for that student, and I can go in and grade that student. Now there is another way that you can grade through the discussion forum, and I'm going to show you that way as well as show you how you can use the discussion rubric. So as mentioned previously, you can access the discussion forum itself by clicking through content, then finding the session folder, and then the forum within it, or by clicking on this discussions link. And I'll click on the discussions link now. Then I can click on the forum that I wish to grade, and then I'll click on the Grade Discussion Forum button. Now here, a couple have already been graded, and for this, and you can see the grade for the first two students, and that third student has not yet been graded. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to click on the Grade button. And in this case, the student only has one post, but if the student had more than one, all of the posts would show here. And then on the right is where I can do the grading and enter additional feedback. Now I'm going to show you how to use the discussion rubric. And there's two ways you can access the rubric. One is to click on the title of the rubric, and then the rubric criteria will expand down the right side. And you can see the different criteria, and then within each criteria are the different levels of achievement. If I wanted to see the descriptions for each of the levels of achievement, I can click on Show Descriptions, and for each criteria, I could click this Show Feedback box, and I have the opportunity to provide specific feedback for one type of criteria. So to do the actual grading for each criteria, then I'll click on the level of achievement that applies. Once that occurs, you'll see a score with a percentage in parentheses appear. This is a range. It's a percentage range, and the number chosen is the midpoint of that range. For example, for this criteria, for this level of achievement, the range is from 28 to 31.6. So the midpoint is 30, and I can override that midpoint to any point in this range. And I can continue to do that for all of the criteria. Now I don't have to override. I can leave each score at the midpoint, and then when I get to the bottom of this rubric, I think I've got a couple more to go here, then you'll see this raw total accumulating for everything that I have clicked in the criteria above. I could override that score if I would want, and then there's an additional general feedback box at the very end of this rubric. Then when I'm done, I would click Save Rubric. In this case, I'm not going to click Save Rubric because I want to show you a second way that you can access the rubric. So this time I'm going to click Cancel. So now I'm back. I haven't graded anything, and before I demonstrated by clicking on the title of the rubric. A second way to view the rubric is to the right. There's this square within a square, and if I click on that, I get a pop-out box that shows the rubric in a different format, and you can choose whichever way you prefer. And then I see on the left the different criteria. And then I see going across the top the different columns, the different levels of achievement. And then I can click each box. And again, it's a percent range rubric. So this number chosen is the midpoint of the range. I can click on the box and override to any place within that midpoint. If I wanted to score one level of achievement for all criteria, I could just click at the top, and then all of the levels of achievement would be chosen for each criteria, and then I could, if I wanted to, override to whatever is appropriate. So you can click. There are different ways you can click and then get through all the levels of criteria and all the levels of achievement and then the criteria. And you can provide specific feedback for each type of criteria. In addition, there is this raw total that if you wanted to, you could override to whatever you like. And then there's this general feedback box at the bottom. Then when you're all done using the rubric and providing your feedback, you'll click Save. And then you'll see that the score that you entered, or that was the raw total, does appear in this white grade area for you. Then when you're through, there is this one additional feedback box that you could provide additional feedback. That feedback box is there in case someone is not using a rubric, but all AL courses do use a grading rubric, but that is there just in case you need it. Then when I'm all done, I'll click Submit, and then the student will receive the feedback and their score, and then the score will be entered in the Grade Center. And you'll get that message that the grade was saved successfully. And that is how you grade a discussion forum. And when you want to go to the next person, then you can click OK down at the bottom right. And then you can continue grading as needed. Next, I'm going to show you how you can view and grade written assignments. If you've ever used Dropbox as an angel, you went to the Dropbox itself, and there you could view the submissions. And Blackboard does that a little bit differently. You will not go to the Dropbox to view submissions. Instead, you'll click on Grade Center, then you'll click on Needs Grading. And then you'll see all the items in your course that need grading. In this case, I'm going to click on the student for one of the students and grade their paper. So I'll click on the student name. And then you'll see that the paper will open and you can view it from the screen. You don't have to download it or save it or rename it to your computer. You can do all of the grading and provide feedback right here in Blackboard. And this is called inline grading. If you're using a laptop to grade, you might need a little bit more room on your screen to provide comments. So if you want, you can hide this left column called the course menu. And to do that, you'll hover your mouse between the course menu and the paper, and then you'll see this little arrow. Click on the arrow and it's going to hide the course menu. You can also, if you're just going through and providing some comments directly on the paper, you can hide on the right that grading column. And to do that, there's a small arrow near the top. Click on that and it will hide that column. So now you have a little bit more room to work. You can, right on the paper without downloading it, make comments or draw or highlight things on the paper. To do that, to make a comment, you'll hover over the comment area and there's the comment button, and there's a drop-down menu. And you've got a couple of options, and I'll show you one or two. The first one is the point comment. So if you click on point comment, you can take your cursor and move it to whatever point in the paper that you want to make a comment, and then click. Then your name will appear, and you can, with a text box, that you can type your feedback in. Another type of comment I'd like to show you is by, again, clicking on the drop-down menu. It's called an area comment. So if I click on area comment, my cursor becomes this crosshairs, and I can click, and then, there we go, and then drag, and it's going to make a square over an area, a portion of the text or the paper. And again, my name will appear with a text box, and I can provide some feedback. If I do make a comment of some kind and I want to delete it, I can just hover my mouse. I'll see this delete button, and I can just hit delete and click OK. And I can go and make my comments throughout the paper. I can also highlight. If I click the highlight button, I have my choice of some different colors, and then I can highlight over the text as I choose. There are other types of comments and text you can make, and I'll let you explore those, and you can contact the CELT if you do have any questions. So after I go through the paper and make the comments, I want to finish grading the paper. So I'm going to bring back that column on the right, that grading information, and I'll see this little white arrow, and I'll click it, and it's going to bring it back. The most papers for AL courses do have a writing rubric attached, and to locate that rubric and use it for grading, you'll see under the white box on the right, there's a very small down arrow. Click on that down arrow, and then you'll have access to the writing rubric. There are two ways you can access the writing rubric. One is by clicking on the title of the rubric, and then all of the criteria and levels of achievement will expand down the right side of the screen. If I wanted to review the descriptions for each level of achievement, I can click on Show Descriptions. And then I could also reveal by clicking on this Show Feedback button that for each criteria, I could have a separate feedback box. And similar to discussion board rubrics, then I will click on the level of achievement under each criteria, and it is a percentage range. So the number chosen by default is the midpoint of that range, but you could click on the down arrow and choose a score anywhere within that range. And then you just continue clicking for the different levels of achievement under each criteria. Until you're just to the end. And you'll see that the raw total is calculated for you, and you can also override that if you choose. And then there's this general feedback box at the very bottom. And when you're through, you can click Save Rubric. I'm going to click Cancel right now because I'm going to show you the other way that you can view the rubric. The other way you can view the rubric is to the right of the title of the writing rubric is a box within a box. So I'm going to click on that, and then the rubric will pop out in a separate box. And then I can see the different levels of achievement along with the different criteria. And I can click on the boxes, and it will begin to add up the raw score for me. And here is, again, it's a percentage range rubric, and the default is choosing the midpoint of that range, and I can override that anywhere within that range if I choose. Then when I get to the bottom, the raw total is calculated for me, and I could override that total if I so choose, and also provide some general feedback, overall feedback to the student about this assignment. When I'm all done, I'll click Save, and then you'll see the score that was on the rubric is entered there in the white box for you. And then when you're all through, when you're ready to submit it to the Grade Center, then you'll click the Submit button. When you click that Submit button, the student will receive the grade in their My Grades section. They'll have access to the paper with your feedback and also the rubric with your comments. And that's how you grade a paper using inline grading on Blackboard Learn. Once you have graded an assignment, it will disappear from the Needs Grading area. You can view that graded assignment, or if a student has submitted a paper by mistake, you could delete an assignment in the following way. So from the Grade Center, I'm going to click on Full Grade Center. Here I can see the roster of students, and then I can see all the grades that have been entered, and I can see anything that might need grading. It also appears in the Needs Grading area. you will see this circle, yellow circle with the exclamation point. That means something needs grading and hasn't been graded yet, but that will also appear in your needs grading area. If you have a student who maybe submitted the incorrect paper or submitted the paper and then wanted to submit an updated paper soon after, once you're done grading, then you'll want to delete that incorrectly uploaded paper. Now I can see here under this Session 2 column, this Technology Skills paper, for the third student listed here, I can see that there is a grade, so I did grade the paper, but there's also an exclamation point, so it needs grading. So that's a clue to me that there is more than one submission here, and I might want to delete one of them. So I'm going to hover over this cell for this student under this assignment and click on the down arrow that appears. Now here I can see there are 2 graded papers, but of course this is a test course, so that would not happen as you are grading. You might have 1, but then you might see this additional attempt. If you ever wanted to view a previously graded paper, then you could just click on the attempt that you wish to view, and then you'll see the paper, you'll see the comments, and then if you click on the small chevron to the right, you'll see the writing rubric, and if you clicked on the rubric, then you would see how it was graded using the rubric. Then when you're done viewing it, you can just click Exit. Now I'm going to go back to this same student's paper, and I'm going to hover over the cell again, click on the down arrow that appears to the right. Now if I wanted to get rid of, in this case, this attempt that was submitted to the student submitted by mistake, and then this other attempt that I graded by mistake. So if I wanted to delete any incorrect attempts, I'll click on this View Grade Details. And here I'll see all of the submissions. So I can see this one, again, there is the circle with the exclamation point. That hasn't been graded, but the student let me know that it was submitted by mistake. So I'm going to clear that. I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to click on the Clear Attempt button, and I'll get a warning because once I delete it, you can't get it back. And I'm sure, so I'm going to click OK. And now it's gone. And that will also disappear from your needs grading area. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, this probably would not happen to you, but I did, just for demonstration purposes, I graded a couple of the submissions, but I'm going to get rid of the lowest one. So I'm going to hit Clear Attempt in that case as well. And I get that same warning, do I want to delete it? And I do. And now just the one attempt remains. I can click on the bottom right and return to the Grade Center. And it's going to take me back to the full Grade Center where I can view and maneuver to whichever I choose to. So that's how you view previously graded assignments and also to delete incorrectly submitted assignments. Here I want to show you a little bit about the full Grade Center and how you can navigate the columns in the Grade Center. So in your course, click on Grade Center, then click on Full Grade Center. And here you'll see how different columns are organized, the student's last and first name, and then I have this scroll bar to scroll to the left or right. And then you'll see a few columns that you may or may not use, but all AL courses will have this overall weighted grade. And to see the full name of that column, you can hover your mouse over the title of the column, and then a little bit above that to the right, you'll see the full title. In this case, it's Overall Weighted Total. In some of your courses, you will also see an overall letter grade, and that is because for the student view, they cannot see this second grade listed for that overall weighted grade. There's the percentage that comes first and then the letter grade in parentheses. The students cannot see that letter grade in the parentheses. So in some of your courses, an overall letter grade has been created. So a second column will show with just the letter grade, and that is done for you for AL courses. Next, you'll see other columns called overall, and it might be overall discussion forums, overall class participation. It depends on how the course is written. And those are the overall category percentage that is a running total of the course grade for that particular category. And again, depending on how this course is written, there may be several different categories, and we'd like to show that running total for each category so the student can gauge how well they're doing in each section. Then you can scroll to the left or continue scrolling to the right, and then you'll see all of the columns in the course. And there are quite a few, but there's a couple of ways that you can navigate in the Grade Center to see fewer columns or to get an overall picture of how many columns there are in the course. So first, if you wanted to narrow down how many columns that you see, you could click on this filter button, and then you could filter by category, and there might be several categories in the course, and let's say in this case, just discussion and participation. So then I have much fewer columns to navigate and scroll back and forth to view. Or for instance, if there was only one item attached to a category, such as in this case, a final exam, then I could just filter for that one item that's in that category, and then it narrows down and I can find that one column very easily. When you're done filtering and finding that column though, I strongly recommend that you go to that category button and then click on all categories once again. And then you can, on the right, just click on the X in a circle and it'll just take away that filtering option. So that's one way you can navigate the different columns in the course. Another way is just to view the different columns, and that's a handy view if you go up to the Manage button and then click on Column Organization. And then if you scroll the grayed out ones, this is a test course, so there are a few unnecessary columns here. The grayed ones are ones that are just hidden, that are not needed. And then you'll see in the darker font all of the columns that are in the course, that when you scroll from left to right, these are all the columns you can see. So it just lets you get a broader picture of what all the columns are in the course. You may never need to go to this view, but if you find that helpful, just to get that view of the different columns, this is where you would find it. And then once you're done viewing, then you can just click Cancel. Now for certain items, for instance, a quiz that's done in the class that is not submitted to a Dropbox, or for class participation that isn't tied to any online discussion forum, you may need to enter a grade manually. The student doesn't submit anything, so you have to enter a grade. And to do that, you'll scroll or filter to find that column that you want to grade. For instance, here is Session 2, class participation. The student isn't going to submit anything, so to grade that, I'll just click on the cell and then enter the score. Everything is based on 100 points or 100% and using that scale. So I can click, or I can enter the number and then hit enter, and then now I have manually entered a grade. Next, I'm going to show you how you can use a tool called Safeassign. This is a tool in Blackboard that can help detect potential plagiarism on papers. I'm going to show you how you can create a Dropbox for draft papers, how you can use or edit the settings for an existing Dropbox for final papers, or you can directly submit a paper for a Safeassign report. So first, you can, and it is recommended, that you could create an assignment or a Dropbox for all draft papers for the students to submit to before they submit their final paper. They can use that as a learning tool as they check citations and make sure they are citing things properly. and things such as that. So to do that, in the content area of the course, you'll hover your mouse over Assessments, then click on Assignment. Then you'll type in the name. Any instructions if you need them to see them. And then points possible, you can enter 0. And then you'll click on this Submission Details link. And that's going to expand. And since this is for draft papers, students will probably submit more than one paper. So instead of a single attempt, you'll click on that box and click Unlimited Attempts. Then below that are the plagiarism tool options. So you can check the submissions for plagiarism, potential plagiarism using Safeassign. We recommend that you check the second box to allow students to view the Safeassign originality report. That could be a communication tool and a learning tool for them. And then because this is a Dropbox that will be for draft papers, click the bottom option to exclude the submissions from the database of Safeassign. If you don't click that, once the student submits the final paper, then that could, it will see the draft paper and will look 100% plagiarized. And actually, I'm going to go up to the top here and call this a Dropbox as well. It's because even though Blackboard calls it an assignment, I am still used to using the term Dropbox. All right, so here I've checked my plagiarism tools. It's a draft Dropbox, so I'm going to exclude submissions from the database. And then I can click Submit. So now at the bottom, I've already created one because I've submitted a paper to it, so you can view that originality report. And then I've got the Dropbox I just created. And then you can move it to anywhere in the course on this content pane that you like. By hovering your mouse to the left of this item, you'll see the square made of arrows. Click, and then you can drag it to wherever you like in the course. Then to view submissions to this draft papers Dropbox, you won't click on the Dropbox itself. You'll click on the Needs Grading link. And then you'll see the name of the student and the name of the Dropbox. Here's one for draft papers. And then you'll click on the student name. Then you'll see the paper. And then if a rubric is attached, then you would click on this small down arrow to reveal the rubric. But in this case, I'm going to look above it because that's where I can see the Safeassign report is located. And I can see there's a 100% overall match. And even if it's a low percentage, even if it's 9%, that's not an indication that there truly is plagiarism. You will need to view the originality report and see what is, it could be a citation that Safeassign hit on, so you'll have to review each individual match. And to do that, you'll click on the word Safeassign, and then you'll click on the button to view originality report. And then it will expand into a new window, and you'll see anything that has been found to be similar to another item in the Safeassign database will be highlighted. In this case, I did pull this paper from the internet, I must admit, and it's just from one site. But if there was more than one match, they would all be numbered, and then it would be highlighted in different colors, one for each number. And then you could read and determine if it truly is possible plagiarism or if it's just more of a citation or some common wording that it hit on. And then once you're done, you can close that window, and then it'll go back, and you'll go back to your paper that's in the Dropbox. And then you can provide feedback to the student. If you entered a 0, it's out of 0, so it will not affect the grade. And that's how that you view the originality report for drafts. I'm just going to click Exit in this case. Now, if you choose to do that, you may want to set one of the existing Dropboxes for a final paper and then also have it enabled so that the paper will go through Safeassign. And to do that, you'll click on Content, and then you go to the session where the final Dropbox is located. And then you'll hover over the title of that Dropbox and click on the down arrow or that chevron that appears, and then click on Edit. Then you'll scroll, and in this case, Safeassign was already enabled, but I'm going to uncheck it as if it weren't, because at this time, for the AL courses, Safeassign is not enabled for any of the final submission Dropboxes. So you would scroll down, you would click on Submission Details, and then here, under the Plagiarism tool, you would click Check Submission for Plagiarism, allow students to view Safeassign Originality Report, and you would leave unchecked to exclude the submissions. So now for that final paper, you want that submission to go into the database. And then you just click Submit. Now there may be times if you choose not to create a Dropbox for draft papers or to enable Safeassign for a final paper Dropbox, that once the term begins and you get a paper and you're just a little concerned and you would like to run it through Safeassign, and you can do that. You can submit it to Safeassign yourself. And that's called a direct submission. So to do a direct submission to Safeassign, you'll click on Course Tools, and then you'll click on Safeassign. And then you'll click on Direct Submit. And then here you'll see a record of any paper that you submitted directly to Safeassign in the past, all here. And then to submit a new paper, you'll click on Submit Paper. And then you can choose to click and submit it as a draft. And then you can click to Upload File. Now you could copy and paste into this text box the content of the paper, or you could download the paper from Blackboard and then upload it to Safeassign. So I'm going to choose Upload by clicking on Choose File. Then I'll find it to wherever I saved it on my computer. And then click Submit. And now here at the very bottom is the date that I submitted it. That's the submission I just did. The blue line is an indication that the originality report is not yet completed, but in my experience, it takes less than 5 minutes for a report to be generated. And then once it is generated, I'm just going to go to to one of the other ones that have not 0% and not 100%. Okay, so here's one for 7%. I can click on the green check mark. That's the Safeassign report. And then I can see anything that is not highlighted, it was not flagged by Safeassign. I can see there are 2 different citations or 2 different areas, 2 different locations where there was a match. It's number 1, number 2, 2 different sources. And then if I scroll down, I can see here's number 1. And I can see that it's a quotation, so that doesn't concern me. And then I can see my number 2 is a works cited reference. So neither one I would consider plagiarism. So in this case, the 7% doesn't concern me. And that is how you can view the direct submit. And from that originality report, I'm going to go back into it really quickly, is you can click this print button. So you could print it if you wanted to, or print it and save it as a PDF, and then you could email it and discuss it with the student if needed. And that's Safeassign, creating a draft Dropbox and editing a final Dropbox for Safeassign, or do this direct submission. I want to show you how you can send email to students from the course. In your course, you'll click on Course Tools, then you'll click on Send Email. And there are different options for sending email. You could send it to all users, meaning if there are other instructors in the course or possibly a center director listed in the course, They're a user also, so any email that you had sent would also go to them. Another option is just to all student users or all instructor users. Or there are some other options that you can explore, just one user or just select several users. In this case, I'm going to select all student users. Then you'll type in your subject. And then your message. Just like any other email that you would send. And then this box below it, a copy of the email will be sent to the sender. So you would check that if you would like to receive that, a copy of this email in your own Concordia email account. And the reason is when the course email is sent, a copy of the message is not kept in Blackboard at all. This tool is for sending email out only. If students would respond to the email, the response would come to your Concordia email account, the Outlook account. It would not come back into the course. So that's important to communicate to your students so that you are aware and so that they are aware that when responses are made maybe to another student, that it's not going to come back into the Blackboard course. It is all going to stay outside in the Concordia email. So when you're done sending your email, you can decide if you want to get a copy of that email in your own account, and then you'll click Submit. I'm not going to click in this case. I'm just going to click Cancel. And that's how you send email from Blackboard. Next, I want to show you how to create a course announcement. In your course, click on Course Tools, and then click on Announcements. Here you'll see a list of announcements that you've sent, and click on Create Announcement. You'll enter the subject, and then the message. And then you can set a date that this announcement applies to. For instance, if it's only related to the week of session 2, you could restrict the date and then enter the date span when this announcement applies. And then once it's outside of that date span, it will drop off the My Announcements page. If it's something that you want to keep and there is no date restriction, then you can just click Not Date Restricted. If you want to make sure that the students receive a copy of the announcement, maybe they don't go into Blackboard a lot, maybe they have not set their notifications to receive announcements via email, you can check this box to ensure that they receive a copy of this announcement. You can also add a course link in the announcement. For example, maybe there is a very interesting discussion forum going on and you wanted to alert students to it, or something is due and you wanted to send a reminder. You can add a course link, and then when the students click on it, it's going to take them right to that area in the course. So to add a course link, you'll click on Browse. Then a box will pop up to show the different folders and areas in your course. So if I want to go to Session 1, and that is the area that I wanted to highlight for them and make sure that they went there, then I can do that. It shows up next to the Browse button, and then click Submit. And then here you'll see the announcement, and then at the bottom is the course link. And if I go to the home page, you'll see it there. Here I'm going to show you how you can download your grades to an Excel spreadsheet. Most centers require that you download and print the grades and turn into them at the end of a term. So to do that, you'll click on Grade Center, and then you'll click on Full Grade Center. And then on the right, you'll click on Work Offline, hover on that button, and then click Download. The default is to download the full Grade Center. More likely than not, that is what you would download, but you could select a particular column if you wanted to. Then under Options, click on comma, then click Submit. Then you'll see that the file has been prepared, and then you'll click the Download button. And then it will download to your computer as a CSV file, and you can open that up by using the Excel program. You can go to your downloads area on your browser, and in my case I'm using Chrome, so it goes here to the corner, this lower left corner. And then you can click to open. And then once it's opened, then you can readjust the columns and expand them to however you would like them to view, and then print them and turn them into your center director. And that's how you download grades to an Excel spreadsheet.